is Sherry from Sacred Flow. I'm here to talk to you about our new release of the Sublingual Hapés and show you how to use this safely and respectfully and how to get the most downloads while you're sitting with hapé in this capacity. So we've just released our kit of 2 different hapés, and I'll explain them to you and what they're all about. So you can use these hapés like you normally would with a kuripe. They're perfectly fine in that capacity. They're in fact extremely strong and powerful hapés to use. However, these were specifically and specially designed over the last 6 months to be strong enough to work as in a sublingual capacity. So when I talk about sublingual hapés, what we're doing is we're actually placing this underneath our tongue, and we're experiencing the medicine as it absorbs through our blood vessels under our tongue, instead of having to blow the hapé and work through the medicine in that capacity. So in each bundle you have 2 hapés. The first one is called Energize and Realign, and then the other one is Tranquil Reflections. These are both very different hapés, and so the Energize and the Realign is really good for daytime use. This is a very energizing, energetic hapé that gives you a lot of focus, a lot of energy, a bit of a boost for the day. It helps you realign with your creativity. It's really good for creating and exploring ideas. So really helping you move through the day. And then the Tranquil Reflections is a really beautiful hapé that I enjoy sitting with at night after work. In fact, after dinner, even at around 9:30 p.m., I like to sit on my balcony with this hapé and just kind of reflect on the day, sometimes reflect over the year. And this hapé has helped me move through really, really deep emotional grief and just allow me to sit, be still with it, and kind of move with acceptance. So if you're going through a great deal of emotional stuff, this really helps kind of center you through that. Both of these are extremely grounding. You will feel them in your body as they bring you down back to earth. They're really beautiful in helping you overcome bouts of anxiety, frustration, anger, all of those, like hapés usually do. But the way they work is a lot more subtly in some sense, and a lot more on the physical. So you'll really feel on a physical level everything really slow down and ground and center up. And so in each pack, you will notice a scooping spoon. And the spoon is to scoop the hapé and to place it underneath your tongue. So when you're about to sit with hapé, the same thing goes with regular hapé. You give yourself the sacred space and the time that hapé deserves to be sat with. And so that can look around like 10 to 20 minutes with this hapé. And what we're going to do is we're going to sit with it underneath the tongue. If you want to listen to music or no music is fine as well. And just sit with an intention of moving through something, with an intention of guidance, of clarity. The same goes here as you would regular hapé. And so what we're gonna do is, if you're starting out, I suggest a pea-sized dose, like you did when you first started with hapé. If you would like to dive in deep and go straight to the depth of this hapé, my rule of thumb is pour enough for 1 side and a half. So if you were to sit with hapé regularly, then pour that amount for 1 side plus half of the other side. So it's almost what you would utilize for an entire hapé session. So once you get that hapé on your hand and it's somewhat the dosing that looks right, what I find really therapeutic and relaxing is to use the back of the spoon. And what we're going to do is we're going to flatten down the hapé. And while I'm flattening, this is already an opportunity for me to create my intention, to set my intention. And we're also flattening for inconsistencies as well. It's easier for the hapé to absorb when it's powder than if it's any bigger particle. And so I will scoop this back up into a ball, scoop it up onto my spoon, blow the remainder in the air, touch the back of my head, and respect and honor. And once I have this full spoon of hapé, I will lift my tongue up and I will place the hapé underneath my tongue. An important thing to note when you're sitting with this hapé is be very careful to not breathe when you're approaching your mouth with the hapé, because the hapé may follow in. And so what I often do is I take a deep breath in and then out, and then I pour the contents of the hapé. Now, once it's in your mouth, also be careful of any breath coming out your mouth while your mouth is still open, so that you don't get a whole cloud of hapé coming out. And so what you want to do is close your mouth gently and allow the hapé to sit underneath your tongue. You may feel a little tingling or a burning sensation, and that is normal, as hapé has very high acidity. Allow that to dissipate. That is totally fine, and it's normal. You don't need to panic about that. And just allow the hapé to sit there. At about a minute or 2 minutes in, you'll start to feel that the saliva mixes with the hapé and it turns into somewhat like a mud consistency. And at that point, I slowly lower my tongue. So up to 2 minutes in, my tongue is up and away from the hapé. Allow it to absorb from the bottom of your palate underneath your tongue. At about 2 minutes, I will slowly lower my tongue so that it can start to absorb through the underneath of my tongue as well. And that way I'm also more comfortable and not, sitting in an awkward position. Keep your mouth closed the entire time. You do not want to speak with hapé in your mouth, because again, that air coming out will blow out a dust of the hapé. And so sit with it with your mouth closed, slowly lower your tongue. At some point, you'll be able to even just move the hapé with your tongue. I allow it to move on top of my tongue and kind of absorb everywhere. You may find that it moves around the gum line, and that's okay as well. And just sit with it for about 20 minutes, at about a 10 to 20 minute mark. Whenever you're done, whenever you feel like your session is complete, rinse your mouth with some water and spit out the remaining contents. Please make sure to not swallow this hapé, as it may upset your stomach. And so if you need to swallow while the hapé is in your mouth, then swallow without swallowing the contents of the hapé.